and MJ, back again for more live reactions to Power Rangers Beast Morphers. I was going to throw off my sunglasses and I realized I didn't have them. Whoops.
Neither do I. That's because we're in costumes.
Fair enough. I also left the sunglasses in the other room, I just realized. It's okay. Yeah, I know, I went boring. I decided to be the Phantom again. So predictable.
I'm pretty sure I've also used this costume again, but I freaking love it!
Alright, so I hope everyone's having a good pre-Halloween weekend. And I just realized, as I was prepping this video, that not the live stream itself, but the recorded version that'll be going up on Sunday will actually be our 500th uploaded video on the channel. I don't know if every one of those videos is public. A few of them might be, duplicated errors or old private stuff, but
at least according to the metrics of YouTube.
This will mark our 500th video.
Those of you watching on this camera.
Yes, as opposed to you guys watching down here.
This is
499 right now. But 500, this is our 500th video for YouTube, which is crazy. It has been quite a number of years now. So it does feel somewhat fitting that I'm dressed as the Phantom right now.
There's nothing, absolutely nothing fitting about my T-Rex.
It's a reminder of how old our channel has become. We are becoming true dinosaurs of YouTube now, with 500 videos, which is a lot.
Yeah.
I feel like not that many people upload that many videos.
Probably not.
I mean, we're nowhere near on par.
He's not Dracula! He's the Phantom of the Opera!
Somebody thinks that I'm Dracula, and that's hilarious. I'm the Phantom.
The Phantom of the Opera is here, doing a live reaction.
I love that, I think one or two people have referred to my, version of the Phantom as being the Fandom Ranger.
Fandom Ranger. I like it.
Or Phantom, but with an F, and I do find that amusing. I mean, he is supposed to be the canonical Phantom Ranger, even
Obviously.
though there are various oddities to his timeline.
Phantom of the Opera-saur.
Yes.
Because before they said Dracula Dinosaur, Draculasaur.
Yes.
It's more Phantom of the Opera-saur. Yes.
But yeah, it's
This is Phantom of the Opera, possessed by Dracula and condemned by Van Helsing.
I don't even know where that's going anymore.
Van Helsing is a vampire hunter.
Yes, I know, but none of that made... Okay. Thank you, Scott.
Did you just have to adjust in order to see... Are you going to be able to see this?
Yeah, it droops a little bit. It is held on by my glasses, just as it was
Happy Halloween.
Back when I used this...
Alman. Even though it's a little early for Halloween, we are celebrating today.
Yeah, this is the same mask that I wore way back in Power Reviews episode 4.
Jacob actually has a Mesogog mask.
That is true. That is true. I do have an old Mesogog mask. Yes. But yeah, as you may have gathered, that Halloween episode from way back in 2012 was absolutely an intentional foreshadowing of Database's eventual identity.
Yes it was.
And I've held on to the mask this whole time, just in case I feel like bringing it out again.
UK con for Power Rangers, be wary of spoilers. Okay, so I guess there's a convention that's going to have a panel that might flood the internet with spoilers.
Right.
Thank you for the heads up.
And I know that...
Joseph's going to be Super Spider-Man.
Oh, that sounds like fun. Spider-Man. Spider-Man. He's...
That's the Toku.
That's the Toku Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, Spider-Man. He's got leopard on, and I think he may have used some machine guns. But yeah, Still working on episode 89.
Spooky, scary.
We did get some good filming on Saturday this Sunday. Sunday.
So the day after our last.
No wait, was that Sunday or Saturday? No, it was Saturday morning. I met up with Dave for the
stuff at his garage.
For the stuff at his place, and then I did, and then we did some more filming for episode 95
during the week
on Tuesday.
Yes.
So we keep doing it in little bits and pieces. It was only like a couple shots on Tuesday.
Oh wow, that's where you're at, Master Rider? Yeah, you've got plenty to catch up on. You can binge that.
Yeah, that's you're down in the 60s right now. So yeah. You got about 22 episodes to catch up on, I want to say.
So yeah, probably by the time he gets there, 23.
Yeah.
I mean, unless of course you really binge.
Yeah, I'm hoping that
Vampires is a team of Power Rangers, yes or no? No.
I'm not.
Not a fan of any full team of X, Y, or Z.
I like combo.
Mermaids, don't want a whole team of vampires.
Types.
Somebody once suggested doing all classic movie monsters though, so like one vampire, one Frankenstein, one mummy. Now that would be cool.
Yes. I'm down for that sort of thing.
You binged all that during a 2-week vacation? Okay, well you're gonna catch up then before we run out.
Alright, so it looks like we've got a pretty good number of people coming in.
Oh, I'm sorry, your stomach hurts, Dustin.
Oh, that's sad. I hope that everybody's having is going to have a good Halloween this coming week. I've got a lot of stuff planned for my classes at my school. We're doing like a whole Spirit Week thing, so there's a bunch of stuff that I got to prep for this week.
And what are you going to be for Halloween at school?
I still got to get some hair white, but I am thinking of going to Doc Brown. I do have my hair's about the right length for it right now, and I am a physics teacher, so it works.
20 gigawatts. I am mumbling because I forget what the number.
Yeah.
Something gigawatts.
Yeah. It looks like Grid Defense was Joseph's intro to our channel.
Stay up all night for a brain scan.
Whew. Hope that everything was okay with that. So yeah, I hope that you guys have been enjoying these 7 years of our channel and these nearly 500 videos.
Marty, my boy. Yes, Mr. Allen. Exactly.
And whichever way you were introduced, whether it was through Power Reviews itself originally, or through these live reactions, or through Power Rangers Grid Defense, which is by far our most viewed video.
We rely on the power of friends.
I'm still very proud of how
something's got to be done about your children. 4 years ago.
I would love to do.
Wasn't it?
What, Grid Defense was 3 years ago, 3.5. Well, a little over 3. Oh, but Back to the Future. The future, as predicted by Back to the Future, is now 4 years old. So let's. I think now is a good time to kick things off, and someone's pointing out how the episode title reminds them a little bit of Jungle Fury, and
it does have the word Fury in it.
I am so looking forward to finally getting episode 89
Sound of the Fury, though, that's from a poem, isn't it?
It's a book by William Faulkner, I believe.
There we go.
But yeah, I will say, I will give you guys this one Halloween treat, which is that we might be seeing some Fury in the next episode of Power Reviews. So that's your little Halloween treat. And with that, let's jump on in to episode 14.
No hints, Dustin.
Of Power Rangers Beast Morphers, Sound and Fury.
I think I'm the perfect candidate.
But yeah, I think it was the
Please
sound.
don't drop a hint of what's happening in the middle of this episode.
Interview. She's a perfect candidate.
You're head of sword maintenance. For now. I think I'm definitely ready to take a step up and work in the lab.
Okay, well, at the moment, I'm developing all sorts of new equipment.
Like what?
Cheetah claws for the Red Ranger. They're enhanced with cheetah DNA.
Let's go, little bro!
Ben and Betty are testing them right now.
I'm curious what the deal is with these
I hope
cheetah
you're ready
claws.
for this.
I
First
think
up,
they're about to try to make salad.
Okay,
tomato.
that's working oddly well.
Pepper.
So,
Nice. That's
I
it.
guess anyone can use
I
these.
don't know if it can beat a Robotron, but it can sure whip up a delicious salad.
Nice. Okay.
Just need some dressing.
Oh no.
Catch.
No! Why would you? No!
Seriously?
You just got Thousand Island dressing all over the new. Nice catch there with the little
Thousand
drop.
Island dressing.
Tasty.
Looks like you could use an assistant with some real training. Those two are a mess.
Thanks.
Rude.
Hoping
That
to
was a
use
little
lab
rude.
assistant really soon.
Thanks for coming in.
See ya.
That was a little rude. What is? How many people do we? What is your deal?
Hello.
What? Wow, there's a lot of.
One way or the other, I'm gonna be Nate's next assistant.
You are
Evil?
Great. Thanks so much.
seeming very devious. Revenge of Hydra Worm.
Nate,
Hey, Zoe.
you're waiting to
Oh,
see
wow.
Nicky Rev's new movie, Revenge of the Hydra Worm?
Yeah.
Me too.
You like the Hydra Worm movies? Oh, amazing.
Wow.
Cheesy sci-fi film is just what I need to unwind.
I
Looking
may
for an
have
assistant is exhausting.
I may have
I really
inadvertently
appreciate your help, though.
No problem. So,
caught a tweet of
I
this.
guess we'll see it together?
Phenomenal.
Awesome.
You two are adorable.
Nice.
Cheetah claws are weapons.
Whoa, we've got another tuba.
Story time's over. Meet my new Robotron.
That's just another Tubatron.
I'm Tubatron 2.0.
Oh.
What's changed? Nothing. Yet.
What?
See, your plan to power up Tubatron failed. But mine won't.
Okay.
Because I found something very interesting.
What?
You stole that cockroach.
Okay, is it really your plan then, or did you just plagiarize Scrabble?
They're
Well-
full of crazy energy. Those are Fury
Also, Nate is apparently not ready to
Fury
build
cells.
children.
universe. I'm warning you. I can feel their immense energy.
Interesting.
It would be foolish not to use them.
It might be foolish to use them for this application. Really need to
That's the plan. Master Ewoks.
Interesting. Oh, she wanted to go see the movie too.
The part with the eyeballs?
Yeah, that was scary.
But yeah, that.
Like,
She's gonna take pictures of them.
Can I have some popcorn?
Are those two?
Fraternization is against the rules.
But Rangers dating Rangers is against the rules.
She's being very devious.
This is too
She was
perfect.
gonna blackmail her way into the
Okay,
position.
open up.
Yep.
Almost. Ready to go?
But yeah,
Here.
I believe that Hydra Worm, from what because I saw somebody post a picture and that reminded me.
Let's go.
It's it was one of the first Mystic Force monsters.
The commander said the alert came from this plaza. Robotron. Hey,
Nate's got
that
his
was just
jacket
the
back.
last one.
Yep.
Kudos to them for recycling.
Nice.
Oh, you won't be making jokes when we trash you losers.
What's
Are they using iPhones?
Of a Fury
They may
cell.
be using iPhones without their brains
what's
being
these?
covered.
What's these Fury cells do? Let's
Look,
see.
they've only got 4 of them, so
That thing he calls a Fury cell powered up the Robotron. I don't know
yeah, we'll
what's
see.
up to.
Thanks, Nate.
I know this. Smorphin' time!
Okay. We know it's morphin' time.
Activate beast power!
Has there ever been another season where Rangers are not allowed to date other Rangers at all?
I believe so. It doesn't come up much because there have only been so many romances, and usually they're just sort of longing looks that never actually go anywhere. But no, well, sort of if you count Merrick and Shayla, but that was really more of a self-imposed thing on his part than anything that was really codified.
You're nothing special, Tuba.
You do get to see Engine Rangers quite a lot, yes.
Yeah.
Robbie!
save about my saber, though.
That Fury Cell. It made the Robotron ultra powerful.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is
You could
bad.
argue it's an unspoken rule in some cases.
Just a little bit. But it's not something that
Probably
generally
would
comes
not
up.
have been appropriate, for example, for the SPD Rangers to date each other.
But I will admit,
The paramilitary structure.
the whole shipping of Zoe and Nate, this was an element of it I hadn't really given much thought to.
Well, that's because initially Nate wasn't a ranger. Wait,
Right.
there's 5 of them on the ground now. 2.
No, 3.
Sorry, that's just how I roll. That's mine. Was yours. Now it's ours. Not for long.
Oh, this is a nice.
That is usually the reason Rangers would be discouraged from dating other Rangers because it would really mess with team cohesion. Not necessarily just if they break up either, because
Whoa,
jealousy.
nice.
If somebody else wanted to be dating one of them who was also a Ranger.
Nice. They used the helmet visor cracking. Go Power Rangers. Go. It's morphin' time. For justice they fight with Beast Morphin' might. Together we rise. Go Power Rangers. Go Power Rangers. Power Rangers Beast Morphers. But
well, with
yeah,
history, I think
I really liked that they kept the visor shattering.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting, because that's not something we usually get to see on Power Rangers. And they actually went through the trouble of editing it in so that it was explicitly Devin's eyes.
Yes.
And that was something that I was very pleasant to see.
So yeah, the rule of not dating other Rangers, you say it makes less sense because it would be better to date someone who's already invited in the fight than a civilian, I think is because they're on the same combat team. It would have been, I think, perfectly okay for Nate and Zoe to date when Nate was in the lab and Zoe was in the field. The problem is, Nate's a Ranger as well now.
Yeah.
And they try to keep dating couples off the field of battle together.
Right.
It can cause problems. Say, for example, people making tactically unwise moves because they are blinded by their need to keep their significant other safe.
Right.
Or maybe somebody not coming to somebody's rescue fast enough because they wish they were dating somebody, which they could because the rules allow them to. In this case, it's this whole mess.
So you think you're the best?
Like,
What is this?
oh, it's looks like a Hot Wheels thing.
It's a Hot Wheels AR game.
But one thing that I really like is that the whole thing about Rangers not dating Rangers was established with Ravi and Roxy, and it hadn't even occurred to me until now. Oh, this can totally apply to Nate and Zoe's little budding romance. That is a very interesting way of tying those different elements together. That is good use of.
It was way less problematic before Nate became a Ranger.
Yeah. But that is some nice setup and payoff there. And that subtle setup and payoff with the level of subtlety that I am not used to with Power Rangers. So kudos on that.
Bobby, dream camper set. Adult assemble.
I actually have.
You can beat anything.
You're looking at the next lead dog for the Octoplast delivery service. Swifty, Jade, Magda, PB, introducing the Puffins. Showtime, Arctic Dog.
Okay.
Are we not introducing all these characters?
Theaters
I
November
have
1st.
no idea.
It's the new Mighty Twins. The bears are in trouble. Lights, sound.
Yes, we actually
We
mentioned
mentioned it
review.
during the last one. That the last Minosaur in Soldier was the fairy Minosaur. It looked a lot like an angel from Ava, though.
And we were talking about it being fairy and being creepy, and I was talking about fairy-type Pokemon are sometimes really creepy. And yes, although I prefer MJ.
Yep.
Millions of you answered the question.
Are you afraid of the dark?
And tonight, we're bringing you all 3 episodes.
Any
Oh
thoughts
wow, it's really only 3 episodes long?
of possibly doing a theoretical theoretical edition of Conversations in Context. What do you mean? What do you mean by a theoretical edition of Conversations in Context? Like
film theory kind of thing on Power Rangers?
I'll wait till they can catch up. Because I always like the idea of doing more Conversations in Context. It's just a matter of finding time. Just like finding time for Power Reviews. If I could, I'd be producing Power Reviews, a new episode every couple weeks. But and we're back.
Okay, Jesse. Okay.
I really liked the Shattered Visor look. I liked it in Go Busters. I like it now. We so rarely get these. Oh, nice. Hey, Cruz. They're doing a good integration with the Japanese and American footage, and actually, I think it's great they had Nathan Steele fighting Blaze, because he's much stronger than the old one.
Why does it have white lines?
What?
I don't know.
Why does what have white lines?
That's what the chat asked.
His
Why
visor?
does it have white lines?
It might. I think they might be referring to.
Where do you think the boy with the Dollar Tree tuba is now? I don't know.
It'd be crazy if that was actually Robbie's grandpa's tuba, and that boy just got lost. Oh, that's our first time seeing Devin use his power outside of suit. That's cool.
They are referring to the visor.
I mean, we have
some white lines on it.
We established with Zoe that they can use their beast powers outside of suit, but it's still cool to see that with Devin. But yeah, I do really like that they have Nathan Steele fighting against Blaze, because
who is glitching out.
At this point in Go Busters, none of these three characters existed yet. So just throw them all together, have them have a fight over on the side, keeps them all out of the way of the Sentai footage, and it works great.
Or maybe he's the fast and the furriest.
That powered up Robotron broke our gear like it was nothing.
If we go up against it again, we're toast. Unless we get an edge.
Steele and I captured one of Blaze's Fury cells. If they could get extra power out of this thing, maybe we can too.
It's very glowy.
I could try and power up some armor. It might be enough to stop that Robotron.
Get all your resources on it. Put that new assistant to work. Dismissed.
New assistants.
So, which assistant did you hire?
Honestly, I didn't hire one yet. You're a better judge of character than I am. Can you pick one for me? Fast?
Sure, no problem.
I can always count on you. Thanks, Zoe.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
She's being very devious.
Notice that you and Nate really have a special connection, don't you?
Excuse me?
I just want to show you something real quick.
Okay.
You know, I'm a Hydra Worm fan too.
You recorded us?
It just looked like a nice little date that you and Nate were on, is all.
A date? No. We were just at the same movie.
Oh, yeah, sure. I'm sure you've read the
Was
good
Roxy's
one for
Sentai
you,
counterpart the
Free to
different
See,
color? So
which
all her
clearly
Yes.
footage is original. Yeah, she
She was purple originally.
Yeah.
So
she's
I'm
successfully
gonna make this
blackmailing
real
Zoe,
simple for
which,
you.
Jeez,
I mean,
why does she talk with that, like,
You make
high
sure
school
I'm not no
attitude?
assistant,
I'm gonna make this
I show this video
real
to the
simple for
commander,
you.
and you and your boyfriend are in big trouble.
You need to go hang out with Lindsay Lohan.
No,
You are a mean girl.
I'm just looking for a job.
Why? Yeah, you are.
She has got, like, the high school Mean Girls thing.
Yeah,
Like, I have seen office blackmail, and that
So excited
is
to
not
finally
it.
be out of Zord
Yeah.
maintenance and working in the lab.
Thanks, Zoe. She recommended you.
She decided to go with it.
Let's hope this Fury cell is powerful
So-
enough to activate the armor I'm programming.
Let's see what happens.
Okay, these claws are ready for testing at full power.
Now,
Great.
I'm curious to see
I
how
have
this
a
is.
question about your calculations. They seem a little high. Isn't it dangerous to use too much Morph-X?
Trust me, my numbers are right.
So what?
Put 1/2 bottle into that claw, not a drop more.
Okay.
Half a bottle? Are you sure?
I'm sure.
She's gonna put in more than half
You're
a
the
bottle.
boss.
She doesn't just want to be his assistant. She wants his job.
So what's? Yeah. Why? Why are you doing that?
She wants Nate's job.
That is not how you.
And that's not proper disposal, I'm sure.
None of
This
that is.
claw is good to go.
None of that is a good idea.
Phenomenal.
Or is she trying to make him look bad by
Testing.
Yeah.
by overpowering him?
Job.
What? What?
I think it's overloading.
That's impossible.
Nate, what do we do?
What is it doing? Why can it do that?
It's on Nick. Join
I feel like
I
it.
don't feel like it should be able to do that even if it is overpowered.
Yeah.
Nick Lachey as they
Alright,
Job
so
fly like everyone else. She
back to
did.
commercial.
You're asking that this is not a show about teenagers with attitude. That was Mighty Morphin. And
Okay, so the question earlier about theoretical conversations in context would be something focusing on a theoretical team of Power Rangers. Potentially, I feel like there's so much.
thanks, Stevius.
There's so much that I could potentially analyze within the context of existing Power Ranger seasons that coming up with a non-existing Power Ranger season to use for a conversation in context doesn't feel needed.
How old are these characters anyway? Well, we know that they've almost all graduated high school. I
I think they're supposed to be 18, 19-ish.
yeah, they're all supposed to be adults. They are not supposed to be
With the
teenagers.
possible exception of Nate. Nate might be like 16, and I think the others might be like 18.
Yeah, because these people, aside from what's his face, were in search of a full-time job. They are all working on full-time jobs. What's his name?
Which one?
Red.
Devin?
Yep.
Yeah.
Devin was not seeking a full-time job. He just kind of wandered into this. But the others were working full-time at the time.
I still find it so weird that the teenage Power Rangers who are not in high school are just never go to college outside of like.
Oh!
So we can get you
Yeah,
back
he
to
just got
Power
smashed.
Rangers.
But
He
it's
just
Power Rangers just like almost never go to college, with the exception of Alyssa in Wild Force
Shelby.
and Shelby for some business classes. Like we know, and I think we know that a few high school
Thought about
Rangers
streaming on
graduated.
Twitch. Well, I have, but not for this.
We haven't really given it much thought. Most of our stuff is through YouTube. I don't know.
I've thought about streaming games on Twitch.
As far as Twitch, I'm not sure what the benefits would be per se, since we don't have an existing following on Twitch as of yet, and I don't know what the major differences are between the Twitch and YouTube interfaces.
Well, I think one of the major things is that on Twitch, your viewers can tip you.
Tipping would be nice. Tipping would be nice.
And they can do so without necessarily actually having any real money of their own, because I do not have a paid Twitch account, nor do I pay money to Twitch, but I do watch commercials in order to earn bits so that I can tip people that I enjoy watching on Twitch, like Miss Biz, who streams Elder Scrolls Online, and Kit Boga, and Stump Jazz.
I do not personally watch much Twitch, mostly just because
He doesn't have time.
well, I don't have time. I'm also not a big fan of the player personally, for as far as just watching it.
You're also not a big fan of the Let's Play genre. Except for video
There it
games
goes.
awesome. He loves video games awesome.
It's okay. It's one of those things that I can just sort of
What
play in the background.
is
of other
that
things.
going to turn them into?
I don't know. Some sort of green tornado thing. I think it just messed with their hair. odd ways.
We almost had.
It's not your fault at all. Nate had me use too much Morph-X.
Excuse me? My math was perfect. It's gotta be something else.
That's not what it looks like. Ben and Betty could have been seriously injured.
What is
Let's say
your
I have to
deal?
report this to the commander.
What is your deal?
She has it.
Calculations, and I tried to tell Nate that it would be too much power, but he would not listen.
That doesn't sound like Nate. Zoe, can you get Nate for me?
Sure. I can. Wait, what exactly is going on?
Ben and Betty were almost seriously hurt because of Nate. Commander, he's
I
clearly
don't know
a
that
good
Ben and Betty
ranger,
need stunt
but
doubles,
failing
considering
a
this was a
science lab at
CG
the same
stunt.
time? That's too much for anyone.
Yeah, she's trying to nap his
I
lab.
humbly suggest that you let me
She's a lab napper.
take charge of the lab.
You've been
As our
on
chief
for a day.
scientist.
If you want to avoid these kinds of dangerous mistakes.
Not so fast, Megan. I checked the
Megan.
Morph-X levels, and this claw was massively overfueled. I told you to use half, but I found this in the trash. You used the whole bottle on purpose.
On purpose. I resent that.
Oh, save it. The only thing I don't understand is why you chose her.
I'm sorry, Nate. Commander, this is all my fault. I did recommend her, but only because she was blackmailing me to get the job.
That's absurd. Okay, she's covering for him because I saw her and Nate on a date at the movies, and she knows it's against the rules.
Zoe and me on a date?
Oh, don't deny it. I recorded them on video.
That's enough. You recorded them and threatened to make it public just to get a job?
Yeah.
Well, that makes it sound terrible.
It's
Yes.
Just because it is terrible.
What kind of a security?
There we go.
Pack up and get out. Now.
How did you think this was gonna end, Megan?
Commander, it was a coincidence that we were both at the movie. It wasn't a date, right, Zoe?
I believe you, Nate. Robotron contact in sector Alpha 14. It's the new Tubatron again. Copy.
Hey, she got to speak.
It's crunch time. Nate.
Fridge buddy, you're
The
supposed.
armor should be programmed.
She does not get to speak
We're
often.
calling it Red Fury mode.
Red Fury mode.
I
That's
mean,
great.
I suppose he's one person who said
Thanks
that.
to Megan, it hasn't been tested at all.
We don't have time.
It will work,
Yeah.
Nate. I can feel it in my CPU.
Good luck, Rangers.
Thanks.
Hey, you.
If
Get
it's
to write the
fueled
CPU.
with the correct amount of Morph-X, it should
Also,
be fine.
I'm curious what these Fury things, what these Fury cells really are when they come from, what the dangers of them are. Oh, nice Instamorph.
Did we keep you waiting?
They did the flip over the camera while also doing the swirl Instamorph. That's an extra little level of snap.
Fury cell.
Ooh.
Impossible!
Really? Watch this.
Interesting.
Activate Red Fury mode. Nate, is that it? There's more. Give it a sec.
Apparently it takes a moment to kick in.
We'll cover you.
I feel like they should
That's
not have aired
interesting.
the Halloween special between two Tubatron episodes. Because rotisseries.
Oof.
They just love that thing. Because how do you get soup on a rotisserie? And that's the whole point. That's when they should have put it into the name.
No, I do not watch The Masked Singer. I'm not really a reality show.
Yeah, we don't really watch reality shows.
Or, well, I guess it's more of a
Okay,
game
Jesse,
show.
we don't know the answer to
Ooh,
that question, so
he's sparkling.
please, that actually is a spoiler if someone answers it for you. That's why they're not going to answer it.
Great. Bro, it worked. Let me see. Now you're not the only one who's all powered up.
Nice.
Unleash the fury.
Ooh.
Whether or not Megan ever comes back is a spoiler. That's why no one's answering.
Ah, nice. We haven't gotten armor like this in a while. It feels like this is an original battleizer.
Because, yeah, I don't remember this from Go Busters at all.
It is not from Go Busters. This is original. This is all original footage. We're getting an original battleizer again for like the first time outside of like Shogun mode. This is like the first time that we've had original battleizer fight footage since like since Overdrive.
So you mean since before the revival?
Yes.
Enough tuba.
Well, like outside of that one fight for
what?
Shogun mode.
Did you hear him?
What do you say? Enough tuba?
Enough tuba? I'm more of a trumpet guy.
Yeah.
That's because Red used the Fury Cell that you lost. Lucky I have a Gigadrone ready to go. Scrazzle to
Send
the
that
rescue.
Gigadrone.
So here goes our Tubatron 2.0.
Here, man. Nice work, Devin. You too, Nate. Red Fury mode's out of this world. Thanks.
I really am curious to see where they go with this Fury mode thing.
I think that
Copy that.
Commander, the
yeah,
Sonic
the
Blast
Cheetah
hit our
Beast
gear pretty
Blaster
hard.
mode only inside the Zord. I think Zoe may have been uncomfortable about that is it a date question because it certainly didn't start out as one,
Yeah.
but it definitely slid towards date territory.
Yeah. Yeah, big time.
Prototype for Powered Custom? That would be cool. I would very much like to see Powered Custom come into this.
I expect that's going to be the super mode for next season. Oof! Nice catch. The Go Buster Zord fights were so good. And I had forgotten just how good so many of them are.
Not the Morph-X tower. That's okay, we can teleport another one.
Good. That drone must not be powered up like that bot was. Thank goodness.
There we go.
Yeah, that's true. This does not have a Fury cell. This is not Fury powered.
Right.
This is just another tuba drone. Cockpit only strange mode.
Yep. But yeah, between this and Fury mode, I do like these little modifiers on the suit, and I would like to see more things like this. Whew. So what's going on down at the Riptide Gym?
1 carrot juice, no ice.
So
Anything
she's
else?
still
I'd like a vitamin rehydrator, please.
Sure thing.
vitamin rehydrator. So they're
Now they have
Can I
to talk
just say,
about it.
I'm sorry about Megan.
I don't get why you let her blackmail you.
Because to me, by the end of it, it was a date.
Weren't on a date. Were we?
Thing is, I heard you say that you were going to that movie, so I kind of decided to go too, so that we could see it together.
oh.
I guess for me, it kind of was a date.
Oh.
Was?
He just went on his first date and he didn't even realize it. I think that's what just
Fact
happened.
is, I sort of
Like you.
like you.
Like.
Oh, that's so cute.
That's phenomenal, because
Oh.
I like you too.
But now they got to deal with
too.
the
You
rules.
do.
Remember those Valentine's Day flowers someone
Yeah.
sent you?
Yeah,
Well,
that was yeah, that
That
was
was
it.
you? Well, now I feel bad that I didn't get you anything.
Pretty much everything, Athena. The credits are rolling.
You must have me confused with some other specimen.
What are we gonna do?
Just clearly, I am
It's a tricky one.
Hey, what do you think they're talking about?
Megan said they went on a date.
My brother?
Do you think?
Nah.
I ship Nate and Zoe too, Devious.
Yeah, I think everybody does. Well, that was very cute.
Be nice to adapt. Oh, so somebody's saying that maybe if you want to do another fan film, you could adapt a pre-Z Ranger Sentai.
That's a possibility.
Although getting the footage for that is a little tough.
It's
At least
not
in
going to
a
be
quality
yeah,
where
it's not
it's
going to be
gonna
the
match
same
well.
level of quality as newer Sentai footage. But yeah, if I were to do another one, I would probably do an additional recent unadapted Sentai. Those are the ones that I have more ideas on.
My vote would be for Tokuger, because I think that the train theme is the least likely to appeal to American audiences.
I want to see what they choose to adapt after Beast Morphers. Like, among other things, I'm not planning on doing another fan film until I finish Power Reviews.
Oh, we love Q Ranger.
I want to get it done. Q Ranger, I love. I have plenty of concepts in mind for.
But it'd be so hard on a single production scale.
Putting that all aside, I feel like there's no way they don't adapt Q Ranger at some point.
That too.
Q Ranger is just too marketable for them not to do.
What would your loop hat idea be?
The
chat wants to know.
You know what?
They're actually shutting down power on Saturday at my work next week.
If I decide to do it, then you'll see. If they end up deciding to adapt it, then I'll share. But you know me, I don't like to spoil people. So if it's looking like Loop Hat won't be adapted, then I might look into doing a fan film of that. If it does get adapted, then I can tell you guys what my fan film idea would be. It would definitely be a significant departure from the premise, because I feel like the existing premise doesn't blend quite so well with the world of Power Rangers.
That, and to bring things back to a couple things that have been happening in the chat, we want to kind of steer away from politically divisive topics.
Yes and no. I mean, it would still be probably politically divisive the way I'd be going for it.
Fair enough.
If anything, I would be steering more into political applications of how the two teams would come into conflict instead of the cops and robbers element. Because personally, I think that when it comes to Loop Hat, having it be...
The Power Rangers were terrible police officers.
Well, the whole cops and robbers means that, you know, one team is acting within the law, one's outside the law, and so it's very much diverges from the good guy, bad guy model that Power Rangers has. And I would want to establish more of a morally gray setting so that it would be reasonable for two teams to come into conflict and still both be heroic. Yeah. And really, I felt like the conflict between the Lupin Rangers and the Power Rangers was the
weakest
element of the series, just because it was the reasoning behind it was not well established. And I want them to have more clearly established reasons why they'd be coming into conflict with one another, despite both being heroic teams. That's how I would handle Loop, and that's
always the old Batman
some element of how I would handle Loop Bat. Yeah.
Apparently, a television show called Drake and Josh is responsible for the prevalence of evil Megans.
Okay, fair enough.
Because, I mean,
it's not really like that was ever not a trope.
Evil Megans?
Oh, what, actually named Megan?
Yes!
Oh, okay.
Kind of like, you know, we had, for a while there, basically no girl named Brittany could be a good girl on TV. If you were in a high school setting and someone was named Brittany, she was bad news.
I mean, back in the 80s, there was the Heathers.
And Heathers, yes. I mean, there's a reason that Heathers was called Heathers, because there were a lot
There were three different Heathers.
Yes, but they weren't the only Heathers.
Really? There were more than 3 Heathers?
No, there were 3 Heathers in Heathers, but there were other situations in which there were...
Oh, what, other movies and TV shows where there were Heathers?
Heather was bad news, so it made sense to pick Heather as the name for the Heathers.
Oh, man, so many of my students are just obsessed with the Heathers musical, and I'm like, I wish I could make that work for you guys.
But the rights, it's a new musical.
It's too recent of a show. It's too expensive to get the rights right now.
Especially
Anyway.
since you have almost no budget, because it's a new club.
Yeah. Anyway, all that stuff
Ron
aside.
Swasserman makes the music for Henry Danger.
Ron Wasserman, I'm assuming. But anyway, so on this episode, And, actually, you know what? I'm gonna pop this off.
Yeah, I took my hood down because I was getting a little bit warm.
Yeah, I'm
Your
getting
glasses fogging?
No, it's not my glasses. I'm just getting sweaty under the mask. And, it keeps slipping down a little bit, and I keep adjusting it, because it's not quite the right size for my nose. Enjoy D&D, Mr. Alman.
Yeah.
So, anyway, regarding
May
this
the
episode,
dice be in your favor!
one thing that I liked that they managed to pull off that I often feel doesn't quite work, but in this case I feel like it kind of did.
I'm a dinosaur and I'm going to go play Houses and Humans.
That's adorable. They had an episode where the Red Ranger got a power-up.
I don't know about Jake. I'll ask him when he gets there.
So, and it was not an episode about the Red Ranger. And I'm often rather conflicted about that, because I feel like if the Red Ranger is the one getting the power-up, then it should be coming from a character standpoint for him. But they did make the focus not so much on who was getting the power-up, but instead the creation of the power-up and the characters behind the creation of the power-up, and that kind of worked.
I mean, RPM had similar things going on. I think that's one of the things that can happen in a series with prominent lab-based characters.
Right. Is
that the lab-based characters get the focus on an upgrade episode rather than the people who are going to be using it.
Right.
The time that the Power Rangers needed a second doodly-whatsits to make the Croc Carrier work, and Dr. K wound up getting one by being really clever with the mirror bot.
But, in certain regards, it reminds me a little bit of was it Facing the Past from Lost Galaxy, where Corone was going through the whole character arc, but Leo was the one who ended up getting the power-up. Which, again, is one of those things where
that was a behind-the-scenes kind of thing.
Well, I mean, like, actually in the episode.
Oh, sorry, my brain is going somewhere else.
Okay.
Corone becoming a Power Ranger thing.
Well, no, I'm referring to the episode where Leo got his power-up.
Gotcha.
Which was the following episode.
Right.
Because it's one of those things where, okay, she went through the emotional journey. It feels like she should be the one getting the power-up, but at the same time, it is sort of a giving to another person. So that one was handled quite well. And in this case, it was a similar kind of thing where the people going through the journey were the characters who were developing the new power-up. And in that case, it did kind of fit. Now and so it was less that the power-up felt like a triumph on Devin's part, and more like a triumph on Nate and Zoe's part.
No cussing, Olivia. If I said that, I would have to put some of these in the swear jar. You can't say it either.
Yeah.
But
Jack got his power-up in the Sky-focused episode. Again, that was one of those ones where actually, I'm saying that I'm often conflicted about it, but we're actually naming really good episodes of Power Rangers where they handled it really well.
Although Olivia was speaking in reply to the A-Games, saying that it looked like Commander Shaw was about to go off script right before she called security and didn't cuss.
But Reflections was another one that handled things really well. They made the power-up. Yes, it was for Jack, but that was a sore point for Sky because he wanted to be the Red Ranger. And so they tied it in really well on that one. So they do tend to handle those pretty well when it comes to the Battleizers, now that I think about it. Maybe it's more of a Sentai thing than I'm thinking of. It's hard to say.
Well, one thing. Yeah, there's a repeat park that's been showing up since forever, but they also have to location match a lot of places in Sentai, And Sentai has
Yeah, they
also been
recycle
recycling
locations
a
as
lot
well.
of locations. So if you're trying to location match something you've location matched before,
Yeah.
it kind of makes sense to reuse the same location again.
Right, exactly.
I mean, there's this one amphitheater that, like, Jake keeps showing me more Sentais, and I keep being like, hey, there's the amphitheater again!
Yeah, it's a very much recurring one.
Are there any pre-Z Ranger Sentai seasons that you've watched all the way through? I did answer this already that I have not. What about you, Jake?
No, I have
You
not.
were busy.
Maybe at some point I can I can visit the pre-shoot seasons. There's still a lot of seasons more recent than that I haven't checked out. Like when it comes down to what Sentai I've watched, it's really just been Abba Ranger, Go Busters, half of Shinkanger.
We never did finish Shinkanger.
Maybe
we stopped as soon as they announced Samurai.
Yeah, because I didn't want to get spoiled. An episode or two here and there of like Magi Ranger and Jew Ranger, I think.
I got about halfway through Magi Ranger before the one I was watching fell off of YouTube.
But in terms of the ones I've watched all the way through, it was Abba Ranger, Go Busters, Tokyuger, Ninja, Zhuoger, and then Q Ranger, Lupat, and now we're watching Ryusoldier, which is halfway through. So I guess when you average it out, I've watched like 8 full Sentai seasons. Even if the 8th is just half of one, half of another. Obviously I've watched every Power Rangers episode ever, but...
Jesse recommends Bioman. It was
cool.
The first to have 2 females on the team.
But I've been...
and enemies from Earth, rather than outer space or another dimension.
I feel like at some point I am going to get into some earlier Sentai just to see where things came from. Like I'd love to watch Mega Ranger, because I just love Power Rangers in space.
A video going through all the foreshadowing in DRPR would be cool.
If honestly, that...
If you guys want, like, a guide to DRPR foreshadowing, that is totally something that could probably happen after the series is over.
Because here's the thing. I've been placing Easter eggs
How have you been doing this?
of foreshadowing in Power Reviews from day one. There is foreshadowing from the beginning of Power Reviews for where it's all eventually going. I'm putting that out there. Like, there is foreshadowing from the very beginning of Power Reviews for where it is ultimately ending.
You should go back and watch the episode where he's having fever dreams and, like, talking nonsense.
Oh yeah, episode 44 is just chock full of foreshadowing. That one was so much fun.
I mean, even though that episode was written because you were actually sick and needed me to do the lion's share.
Oh, that episode. Yes, episode 8. Yes.
Episode 8. Jake was actually sick and needed me to do the lion's share of the review because he just could not talk that much.
The episode before that had even more foreshadowing because that was when I was being all loopy.
Yeah.
But like, there were. I just tried to find something that I could sneak in there for each of the early episodes that you'd be able to revisit later.
Joseph points out that the fact that we have a year 0 was a clue already because it's generally robots and computers that start counting at 0, not people.
I will admit that was not actually an intentional thing. It was mostly just because it was intended as sort of a pilot season to sort of try things out before it really dove into things, with year 1 being the first full season, where it was a full 40 episodes. But yeah, I'll take that, sure. Like, if anybody wants to, like, do their own videos analyzing Power Reviews and sharing that with me,
yeah, we're not going to copy
fine.
strike videos that are actual analyzing. That would be really hypocritical because we are using a bunch of clips of...
if you want to write a video analyzing a video series that analyzes a television series that adapts another television series, go for it.
That is so many layers of meta that, like, and I'm not saying somebody please do this. I am saying though that although we did have to copy strike, I think once when somebody just took a whole video and just re-uploaded it.
I think
unless you're actually, doing something like that. We're totally okay with derivative content. We're making derivative content.
Yeah, it would be fun to if they could play around with gender roles a bit on Power Rangers, get another female Red, make non-Red the
because we're
focus
not
again.
the Fine Bros.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of loophole they'd have to work with to let a girl get a hold of the Red Morpher. It's not happening in this season, I don't think. I think it would have to be. I think they're the only.
If they did ToQger.
Yeah.
If they did ToQger, that'd be wacky.
ToQger definitely has.
Because they got all the color swapping.
Color swapping. But I think one of the things that would take for us to get a full-time Red female Power Ranger, unfortunately, would be a full-time Sentai Red female character, because it is adapted footage.
On a random note, I just realized why this episode was called Sound and Fury. It's because the tuba in the Fury mode. There we go.
Congrats. Thanks. You've caught up.
Yeah.
Good job.
Well, I knew
No,
it was
Mr.
Sound...
Hartfield, I'm not a robot.
I knew it was Sound and Fury because of Fury mode, but it just occurred to me, oh yeah, he was fighting the Tubatron.
Is Japan more patriarchal than America?
Yeah,
Yes!
Yes, it definitely is. Japan
Yes,
is
it is.
absolutely a patriarchy, big time, more than America. They may not have the same sort of rah-rah, sis-boom-bah, intense masculinity culture of
They
America,
have their whole other...
but they do have a tradition and culture that is heavily focused in a patriarchy.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Google office lady.
That's the whole thing.
Because there's actually, that's a profession.
Yeah.
Office lady. And a lot of women there still stop working when they get married.
Yeah.
So they have their own things going on there, even if they don't have the same kind of things we have going on here.
Yeah, ToQger adaptation would be... I think a ToQger adaptation would be really bold if they decide to go for it, just because it's a design aesthetic that is very child-heavy.
Office lady is not something that I can't say on a channel where I get in trouble for saying things that you could not Google on an office computer. It's actually, basically, it's a sort of a secretarial kind of role, but that's actually what they call them, office ladies.
Yeah. But yeah, I think the thing with ToQger is, I feel like they're trying to...
But that's not the name most salarymen actually have actual titles, but...
I feel like Power Rangers is currently in the process of trying to gain increased mainstream legitimacy.
Ridiculous work hours over there, too.
Considering Power Rangers seems to be attempting stronger mainstream legitimacy, I feel like in order for ToQger to pay off for them, they'd have to go really bold on the storytelling to really subvert the very childlike aesthetics.
Also,
much like the show, much like ToQger itself did, by virtue of having some really interesting themes in the story.
The other thing is that, while we're talking about differences between American and Japanese culture, they have a big train thing going on over there, because trains are a public transit system that actually run the whole country.
Yes.
Not just between cities or, the subway systems in cities, but trains are a major thing, which is why if you watch ToQger, you have the everybody's train.
Yeah. And I mean, we've seen
we've
seen how that sort of adaptation can go awkward in Megaforce with that one episode of, if we can stop the trains, then we'll stop humans in their tracks. And it's like, they're just going to drive. That's what most Americans do.
But they're a lot more train-oriented than we are, so that's another reason that ToQger...
Yeah.
It has a lot of...
That's why I say they would have to go very bold on the storytelling, I think, to make ToQger really splash.
Or it's going to fall into the same decontextualization problems we had with Samurai.
Well, also, I think it would just come across as very kiddie.
That too.
And I think that's the bigger thing. I think they're trying not to... I think they are trying to skew young with the show, but I don't think they're trying to skew quite that young, and I feel like that's not going to fit very well with their attempts to go for more mainstream legitimacy right now. That being said, I could be wrong. They could decide that they want to challenge themselves and go for something that's going to be a little trickier to adapt. I think the safe bet would be something more like Q Ranger. very marketable, very shiny. Honestly, the only reason that I would want them to hold off on Q Ranger is so that maybe I could find an extra 2 years to find a way to get myself involved with the show. That is literally the only reason I would want them to hold off on Q Ranger. Because I would want to work on Q Ranger. And
he needs some extra time.
I would need more time to find a way to find an inlet into the show.
There. I got a great question from a fan here for you. Now, yes or no only.
Yes.
Is there anything foreshadowed in episode 1 that still hasn't happened yet?
Yes. That is a flat yes. There is foreshadowing. I don't know if I'd call it foreshadowing per se, but there is setup from episode 1 that has yet to hit its payoff. Alright, so it looks like...
Olivia and Spencer both point out that, you know, one way we could get a female Red Power Ranger would be to pull the old Trini trope.
That's true. We could do that. I feel like, in terms of build,
I feel that's not likely to happen with a season that already has 2 female Rangers, though. So they'd probably only do it with something like maybe Ryu Soldier.
That would be interesting if they were to go that way on Ryu Soldier, and I could see them doing that.
Because Ryu Soldier only has the pink Ranger, so...
I feel like green would be a more likely swap, but if they were to go with red, that would be a pretty bold choice.
Even if they did green, a female Green Ranger would be a first.
Assuming that they do Ryu Soldier before Q Ranger, yes.
She's a different shade of green, though. She's like lime green.
Oh, well, it's still green.
Yeah, I know, but she wouldn't be like Tommy Green.
I suppose not. The shades are only a little bit different. But yeah, I'm just trying to see what else is going on here in the chat.
What would we think of a food cooking themed series? You mean a food cooking themed Power Rangers series?
It could be interesting.
I mean,
it would all be in the execution, as with most themes.
I don't watch much Food Network or anything, if that's what you're asking.
Like, there are very few themes that I think are inherently strong, and it all comes down to the execution. Like, there are certain themes where I'd be very excited to see them. Like, I was thrilled when I saw we were getting a space theme with Q Ranger, because it had been a number of years.
Sparkly.
It was a very nice aesthetic. When Mystic Force was first announced, I was very much a fan of the very mystical aesthetic.
Power Rangers Meat Force. I think that would be the Power Rangers cooking. I don't think we could have a Power Rangers Meat Force. I think that's
a little too silly.
That would be a little bit overkill. You'd have to, you know... Well, at the very least, you'd have to have a balanced diet.
Yeah. I will admit that...
Because it is a children's show, man.
Lupat was pretty bold in terms of coming up with a more original concept with the cops and robbers, even if
you gotta have your
the execution was middling on the execution of that concept. I felt like the show in general was pretty enjoyable, but the execution of the 2 teams in conflict was a little weak.
Power Rangers Vegetable Refresh.
Power
Rangers Balanced Diet. Yeah.
There we go. So, all that being said, let's see.
All of this is part of Balanced Breakfast.
Do we have any additional comments on this episode
on the
itself?
Episode?
Like...
I'm interested to see how they're going to deal with the Zoe and Nate situation, because I feel like them sneaking around is not going to go well for them, but I feel like they might try it anyway. And I almost kind of hope that they just come clean to the commander sooner rather than later, because that is the giving a good, being a good role model behavior.
Yeah.
Is to, you know, if you find yourself in this situation, that's how you're supposed to handle these kind of situations, is to say that, hey, management, we're in a situation here where, you know, even if we don't date, these feelings are still going to be there, and they need to be managed.
Well, I like that they do seem to be playing
across the world.
A pretty clear long game on the character development, which is really something that I've been wanting to see more of, and I really like that we're seeing that in this season. We have so many of the issues that the Rangers are facing so far are issues that remain unresolved at the end of the Focus episode, which is fantastic that these are progressing.
There are no simple solutions, especially to these social problems.
Like
there are simple solutions to monsters, but there are not simple solutions to social problems.
It makes me wonder. Like, I know.
On the other hand, it's going to be really upsetting if they never resolve any of it.
I know that at least one creator of the show, has watched our live reactions. I don't know how thoroughly. But this does feel almost like they're taking our critique on Ninja Steel very much to heart, where I was pointing out with Power Rangers Ninja Steel how we had all these Focus episodes where we'd have recurring issues for these Rangers, but they weren't threaded together in a way that made it into a coherent character
it was like they would
arc,
get amnesia and then learn the same learn the same lesson again, and then get amnesia and learn the same lesson again. It's like, I understand what you're trying to say is that this Ranger has a particular character flaw that causes them to need to learn this lesson over and over again, but maybe instead of having that only crop up in the episodes where they learn their lesson, and having them learn it very thoroughly the first, second, third, and fourth time, they could learn more slowly, like real people.
Well, a great example that I came up with was, I think I meant to do a video at some point on Ninja Steel and how I think it could have better utilized its potential. When you look at Sarah, and you look at Sarah's Focus episodes, the first Focus episode where she created a bunch of doubles of herself. There was the episode involving her and Princess Vieira, and then there was the episode involving her and her mother, and then the following season we had another episode with her and her mother, and then another episode where she was trying to create a new invention. And if it had been, and there was that little bit of her wanting to prove herself for college applications. That was established in that first Focus episode. And I think if that had tied into pressure from her mom, it could have made for an interesting and developing character arc where, because she seems that she had a single mother, because her mom was did start dating Zoe's father.
Which meant that, Zoe?
Not Zoe, because it was Zoe Robbins was the actress. Haley's.
There we go.
Haley's father. Sorry. Cross signals there. So many Zoes, because we had Zoe Robbins, there's Zoe
from
in Beast Morphers, and then there was Zoe for My Yellow Ranger.
Who was the actress Zoe again.
But my
Power Rangers versus food allergies.
But my point is,
peanut butter monster.
It could have been she was getting a lot of her pressure from her mom ever since her dad left or whatever happened to her dad. And that could have driven her desire to be a strong inventor. We could further explore the complex relationship between her and her mother, with her mother learning to let go of her a little bit more in that episode. Then further explore the relationship between her and her mother, with her learning to let go of her mother and the relationship with her father by letting her mother move on. And then her learning to
not cheat,
pursue her own goals the right way on her own, and that would be just a sort of growing independence coming of age arc that would progress throughout the 2 seasons. And I think that could have worked well.
Preach, says Chris.
And that's not what happened. You know, they didn't really link those episodes together, but what we're seeing here is a clear path of development that is intentional, is tying into the episodes of the day, and is progressing the characters in clear directions.
I feel like you should be doing a genre. You know how they have like the how it should have ended?
Yeah.
How it should have been connected.
Right. I mean, I do. I mean, that's what a lot of Power Reviews is just drawing connections between disparate elements of the franchise in so many different ways.
Rotisserie Soup says, and I agree, that it's cool that Megan is not redeemed by the end of the episode.
Yeah.
Some people are just not good people. And Megan is not good.
You know what?
People.
Maybe she could be redeemed at some point, but
not today.
It doesn't need... She showed very poor judgment and poor character, and it was reacted to in the right way.
She got fired.
And I think that was a really nice way of showing, like...
I love how she was actually a little bit flushed about it, because
behavior.
the kind of people who behave like that actually sometimes
They're shocked when there's consequences for their actions.
How could this... Because you lied and blackmailed, and that makes it sound so awful. Well, it is.
Yeah, I feel like they may have overplayed her character a little bit with the deviousness.
Oh, she was...
But, she was hamming hard.
She was hamming, yes. I was going to say, they laid on the evil...
I think it was a little too thick.
A little too thick.
The overall story was good.
It was... the same lines could have been delivered with a bit less ham.
Yes. She pushed too hard with the whole...
Meal tickets. I love it, Dustin.
With trying to steal Nate's job right away. Probably not a good idea for your first day. You want to play a little bit of a longer game there. If you're gonna be doing that, you gotta play a longer game. But as we've established before, Power Rangers has complicated relationships with time. Well, with time frames within episodes.
Everything's compacted.
Yeah. But I do like that we're getting long games in terms of character development, and in terms of things that were happening with other characters paying off for these characters. Like
she was so hammy that Joseph thought she was Roxy in disguise.
I thought at first that she was so an evil character in disguise as well. But I just really like that the conflict for Ravi and Roxy informed the conflict for Nate and Zoe. And I think that is smart storytelling, and that's taking advantage of your characters and your world.
I don't know that it would have been better if it had been Roxy. The delivery would have been better if that had been secretly Roxy, because
it would have been a better fit.
Like Roxy. Roxy behaves like that.
I do think recognizing that people can be that way just as people, and that behavior might get you to a certain extent. But eventually you do hit consequences.
Yes, she was.
Briefly.
Roxy was in this episode.
To complain about the Tubatron.
Exactly. It's the same monster I made!
Yeah. And I will wrap things up by saying that I do certainly hope that we are moving more and more into a world where that kind of behavior actually faces consequences. I feel like it doesn't always face consequences, and it should.
Well, that's because most of the time it doesn't come with such a smarmy, overblown attitude, so it's harder for the people like Shaw to spot. But because she was as bold as she was...
Sometimes it's extremely obvious and publicized on multiple news outlets, and still the consequences are minor if they happen. So I would really like for us to be moving to a world where there are more consequences.
I think we've been holding people a bit more accountable lately.
I think I'm being fairly transparent in what I'm referring to.
And I'm referring to something else good that's been happening in that way that spawned a lovely hashtag and cleaned up Hollywood quite a bit.
Fair. That's fair.
But we're trying not to talk about politics, so maybe this is where we end it.
If you're not sure what I'm talking about, maybe you need to watch my recent conversations in context again and read between the very thin lines.
Which would be where you guys are going to have that conversation in the comments of that video and not here. Thank you very much.
So, would we want Megan to come back as an evil avatar? I don't know about an evil avatar or not, but it would be interesting to see if
learns her lesson or not.
If she were to appear again, whether or not she learns her lesson and which path she decides to go on from there. Continuing with any character progression, even for one-off characters, would be interesting. So, we've been going. It's getting a little late now. I love that we've had so much discussion this evening.
Oh, it's great. I love it when we have this kind of conversation. But the thing is we have now been at this for well over an hour.
Yep. So I hope that you guys have enjoyed this, 500th episode recording.
500th episode.
500th video recording.
Right. 500th video.
Over on the main camera and 499 with the chat. So Yeah, I know we're I suppose we are cheating a little bit by virtue of releasing 2 different versions, but even so, we've released a lot of videos over the years.
Yes.
And I want to release more scripted videos, because I love doing our scripted videos. I just wish I had time. I wish I had more time to get power reviews out on a regular basis. Like, if I could make it a monthly, that'd be fantastic. I want to get to the end of the series. I want you guys to see the end of the series. We filmed so many things that I feel we won't get to actually show for at least a year, even though it's all one season right now. But I do want to at least get out, 2 more episodes before the end of the year, and I'm getting there. I've got a lot of stuff filmed, but I want to get 89 and 90 out before the end of the year, so that'll make another year of 4 episodes being released. Good
night, Sean.
This next bit is really a 2-parter, and I think you guys will really enjoy it, and that will move us into the second half of year 3, and the next arc of year 3 before we get into the end game of the series. So with all that being said, thank you again. I hope you all have a happy, healthy Halloween. And
careful walking around in the dark, kids. Put your reflectors on.
Yep. Don't eat too much candy.
Don't eat anything that doesn't come in a wrapper.
Don't make too much work for your dentist. And until next time, farewell, Ranger fans, and let the power protect you.
Rawr! I'm a dinosaur.
Oh no! Scary.